ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ 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 ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ।
ਗਿਆਨਨ ਮੈਂ ਗਿਆਨ ਅਰ ਧਿਆਨਨ ਮੈਂ ਧਿਆਨ ਗੁਰ ਸਕਲ ਧਰਮ ਮੈਂ ਗ੍ਰਸਤ ਪ੍ਰਧਾਨ। ਗਿਆਨਨ ਮੈਂ ਗਿਆਨ ਅਰ ਧਿਆਨਨ ਮੈਂ ਧਿਆਨ ਗੁਰ ਸਕਲ ਧਰਮ ਮੈਂ ਗ੍ਰਸਤ ਪ੍ਰਧਾਨ। So Guru Granth Sahib Ji Padshah have blessed us today to sit in the charan and start and aram the subject of Anand Karaj. Guru Sahib Ji Padshah Ji aap hi kripa karan, may Guru Sahib Ji bless us and keep their blessed hand above our heads to go through this subject. Jitne ki sache Paatshah Ji samat bakshanage. So the first thing that we're going to look at is what we just went through, what we just all heard, which is actually from a kabit by Bhai Gurdas Ji. From the kabits of Bhai Gurdas Ji give us many examples. Bhai Gurdas Ji go through about 8 examples just for us to be able to understand one thing. Out of this whole kabit are like couplets. Through this, the first example Bhai Gurdas Ji give us. Bhai Gurdas Ji say, Jaise sar sarta sakal mein samundar bado. Bhai Gurdas Ji says, just like you see, just like jaise sar sarita. Sar means lakes. Sar, Gursikh Pyareo, Bhai Gurdas Ji saying, jaise sar sarita. First Bhai Gurdas Ji is talking about lakes. Then Bhai Gurdas Ji is talking about rivers. They said just like from, whether it be rivers, whether it be lakes, whether it be ponds, whether it be pools, out of all of these things Bhai Gurdas Ji is saying, Sakal mein samundar bado. They said amongst all of these, they said samundar, the ocean, is bigger than all of these. Whether it be a river, whether it be a pond, whether it be a lake, but amongst all of these Bhai Gurdas Ji is saying bigger than all of these is the ocean. कहने लगे जैसे सार सरता सकल में समुंदर बढ़ो. फिर Bhai Gurdas Ji, the second example they used, then they say मेर मैं सुमेर बढ़ो जगत बखान है. Then Bhai Gurdas Ji saying that मेर मैं सुमेर बढ़ो जगत बखान है. Then they said out of all, मेर means mountains. Then Bhai Gurdas Ji saying out of all the mountains, and this is referring to when what was believed in India of them times. Bhai Gurdas Ji says, Mer main Sumer bado jagat bakhan hai. They said out of all the mountains, they said that Sumer mountain, a mountain called Sumer, which is famously known as Sumer Parbat. That mountain that Guru Nanak Dev Ji Sacha Paatshah Ji climbed as well, 18,000 feet high. Guru Nanak Dev Ji Paatshah Ji climbed that mountain, Gursikh Pyareo, where Guru Nanak Dev Ji Paatshah Ji went and spoke to the Siddhs. That was a very famous mountain. And out of there, Bhai Gurdas Ji is saying, Mer main Sumer bado. He said, just like out of all the mountains, this Sumer mountain is classed as one of the biggest. Jagat bakhan hai. Then Bhai Gurdas Ji carry on and give more examples. Then Bhai Gurdas Ji is saying that tarvar bikhe jaise. Tarvar means amongst all. Kehne tarvar bikhe jaise. Bikhe means trees. They saying tarvar bikhe jaise chandan birkh bado. Then Bhai Gurdas Ji is saying that amongst all trees, one of the best trees that is classed amongst all trees is Chandan. Birkh bado, Chandan means sandalwood. The tree of sandalwood is classed as one of the best trees amongst all trees. Kandage tarvar bikhe jaise Chandan birkh bado. Then Bhai Gurdas Ji give another example. All these examples that Bhai Gurdas Ji is giving us, they just want to try and get us to understand one thing amongst all of these things. Then Bhai Gurdas Ji says, Taat main kanik at utam ke main maan hai. Then Bhai Gurdas Ji saying, out of all the metals, out of all the elements, Bhai Gurdas Ji saying Taat mein kanik at uttam. Kende out of all the metals, kende gold is classed as one of the purest metals that you can get. Bhai Gurdas Ji saying. All these examples they are going through now. Then Bhai Gurdas Ji's Panchiyan mein Hans. This is out of all the birds. This is Panchiyan mein Hans is the swan. This is Panchiyan mein Hans. The fir Bhai Gurdas Ji ne ਆਪਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਦੱਸਣਾ ਕੀਤਾ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਮਿਰਗ ਰਾਜਨ ਮੈਂ ਸਰਦੂਲ ਕਹਿਣ ਲੱਗੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਮਿਰਗ ਰਾਜਨ ਮੈਂ ਸਰਦੂਲ and out of all mirg Gursikh Pyaro means deers. They said out of this class of animals Bhai Gurdas Ji mirg rajan mein sardul, this is but the king of all of these is a lion. Then Bhai Gurdas Ji saying kende ragan mein Siri rag. This is amongst all rags. They say the highest rag is classed as Siri rag, which is the first rag that comes in Guru Granth Sahib Ji Paatshah Ji's Bani as well. And this is Paras Pakhan hai. Paras Pakhan hai. Then this is out of all the stones. They said one of the highest stones is classed is the philosopher's stone that has that power to be able to turn a normal metal into gold. Bhai Gurdas Ji giving us so many examples, and then in the last pangti, in the last line of this kabit, Bhai Gurdas Ji says Gyanan mein gyan. This is amongst all the wisdom that we can gather in this world. Gyanan mein gyan ar and Dhyanan mein dhyan gur. This is if you want to get gyan from anyone, if you want to get wisdom from anyone, better than reading something. Bhai Gurdas Ji saying if you have a guru and get that gyan and you take that wisdom from the guru, that is classed as the highest gyan. Gyanan mein gyan ar dhyanan mein dhyan. Dhyan means to focus on something. Bhai Gurdas Ji saying if you want to focus on something, they said focusing on your guru is classed as one of the highest focuses you can do on anything. They give us all these examples to tell us one thing, and then they say that Sakal Dharm mein grist pradhan. Bhai Gurdas Ji says of all the ways of living you can have, they said the highest and the best way of living is that life of a gristi. Bhai Gurdas Ji gave us all those examples just to tell us this one thing. And this is what it says, Bhai Gurdas Ji, that Bhai Gurdas Ji is the key to understanding Gurbani. Bhai Gurdas Ji is that sakal out of all, sakal taram, of all taram. Taram here means ways of life, ways of practices. There's many practices that people do in this world, in this life. And some people, many different types of practices to try and get to God. But Bhai Gurdas Ji is that sakal Dharm mein grist pradhan hai. This is but pradhan. This is it. If anybody has got the pradhan, actually means leader. If anybody is right at the top, if any way is right at the top, and that is grist jeevan. And grist jeevan means to live in a household, to live in a family, to live as a family person. Bhai Gurdas Ji saying that is the highest way of living, not renouncing your family, not running away to jungles. Just like some people thought that you're not able to obtain and walk upon the path of God if you remain within your family. And people thought if they get married they're going to get tied down. And what people used to say, they used to say that a woman is a thorn in the pathway of reaching God. So the people used to say it's impossible to get to God within a household. But Bhai Gurdas Ji says something completely separate. Because Guru Nanak Dev Ji Paatshah Ji's way is completely separate to the rest of the world. By Guru Nanak Dev Ji Paatshah Ji, what did Ram Kali Ki War say about Guru Nanak Dev Ji Paatshah Ji? This that Guru Nanak Dev Ji Paatshah Ji, what did they do? Ulti Gang Vahaiye. This is what they did. They made the river Ganges flow a completely separate direction. A separate direction from the rest of the world. Because at that time, what did people used to do? Char ਹਿੱਸਿਆਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਉਮਰ ਵੰਡੀ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਸੀਗੀ ਉਸ ਸਮਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ. What they used to do is the Hindus, they used to divide their age into 4 sections. And in those 4 sections, in the last part of their lives, they would give up their families and they would go out to jungles just to meditate on God. Because they said you can't live within your families and get to God. But Bhai Gurdas Ji is saying this is the highest way of living. Let's just look at the word for a moment, grist. Grist means householder. But the word itself, it's made up of 2 separate words. You've got greh and then we've got sat. So the word grist, which is normally translated to a householder, but grist means greh and then sat. Greh means somebody where somebody lives. Greh meaning over here, a householder. Somebody that lives within a family, somebody that gets married. They're saying greh, then sat. They said, what actually is a gristi? Who actually is a householder? Grist means somebody that lives within their household but attaches themselves to the truth. That doesn't give up on truth, on righteousness. Always lives righteously. That living within their house, living amongst the family, greh sat, they still recognize that truth inside of them. What is that truth inside of us? That we have all come from ek, oankar, then sat, nam. That sat, that truth. Even living within our house, we can still realize that ek, which is permanent, sits right inside of us. So agrest jeevan. This is what we're going to be talking about for 5 weeks, including this week. There'll be 5 weeks altogether. The whole 5 weeks will be dedicated to agresti jeevan, a householder's way of life. First thing that we're going to look at today is in Gurbani itself. A lot of the time when we talk about marriage, when we talk about Anand Karaj, the Anand Karaj that we know about is that Anand Karaj of two people coming together, of the union of two physical bodies coming together. That's the Anand Karaj, and that's the marriage all of us know about. But Guru Granth Sahib Ji Path Ji talk about 3 different types of marriages, and they all are interlinked. To understand why it's so important to live a family life, why it's so important, why did the house of Guru Nanak Path Ji give pradhangi, give it the highest way of living? Why was this recommended as the highest way of living? And the other thing to remember is that even though that Bhai Gurdas Ji saying this is the highest way of living, this is the most recommended way, is to get married, but also Gurbani, we can't overlook, Gurbani also says to us that jin tu jata grist udasi parvan. On the other side, Guru Granth Sahib Ji Path Ji also tell us this, which is very important to know. Guru Granth Sahib Ji Path Ji also tell us that jin tu jata. Guru Sahib Ji saying that whoever gets to know God, jin tu, ਜਿਹੜਾ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਜਾਣ ਗਿਆ ਨਾ, ਜਿਹਨੇ ਆਪ ਜੀ ਨਾਲ ਡੂੰਗੀ ਸਾਂਝ ਪਾਲੀ ਹੈ ਅਕਾਲ ਪੁਰਖ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀਓ, ਜਿਨ ਤੂੰ ਜਾਤਾ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਗ੍ਰਸਤ ਉਹ ਭਾਵੇਂ ਗ੍ਰਸਤੀ ਹੋਵੇ, even if that person is a householder, ਜਾਂ ਉਦਾਸੀ ਹੋਵੇ, even if that person is that renounces the world, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ it doesn't matter which one they are, whether they're an udasi, whether they are a gresti, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਗ੍ਰਸਤ ਉਦਾਸੀ ਪਰਵਾਨ, they are both accepted. It doesn't mean that an udasi, somebody that renounces a family life, that they are rejected in the Guru's house. No. Because Guru Bani makes that clear as well. That whoever gets to know God, whoever falls in love with God, whether you're a householder, whether you decide to not live that life of a householder, you are still accepted in the eyes of God if you fall in love with God. But the recommended way is a householder's way of life, is to get married. So Guru Sahib Ji saying that is for the majority. 10 प्रकार दे विआह दसना कीते Guru Granth Sahib Ji Path Ji de Bani under. 3 types of marriages Guru Sahib Ji tell us about. It's very important for us to understand all these 3 types of marriages, to understand life, to understand the marriage of 2 people coming together. That first, they divided into 3 categories in this way. The first type of marriage that we're going to look at is everybody, whoever is born, everybody that has come upon this earth will definitely go through that marriage. Everybody, whoever's got breath in their body. And then Guru Sikh Pyaro, the second type, majority, most people that come into this world go through that type of marriage. The third type of marriage, very few people go through that type of marriage. Very few that have come upon this earth. So the first type of marriage that everybody actually does go through, that nobody can escape, we'll try and understand that marriage through the eyes of Bhagat Farid Ji through this slok. Bhagat Farid Ji says, Jit dihade tanvari sahe le likhaye malak je kanni sunida muh dikhale aaye. The first type of marriage Bhagat Farid Ji tell us about. Bhagat Farid Ji saying the first type of marriage is that ਕਹਿਣ ਲੱਗੇ ਭਗਤ ਜੀ ਜਿੱਤ ਦਿਹਾੜੇ ਧਨਵਰੀ Jit dihade, that day. Jit dihade, tan means wife. Which wife is Bhagat Freeji talking about here? Which marriage is Bhagat Freeji talking about here? The marriage we're going to look at in a moment. The wife that Bhagat Freeji is talking about here is our soul, the soul bride. And Bhagat Freeji is saying, Jit dihade, which that day, Jit dihade tan vari. Vari means when somebody has to go somewhere, to go. Kende Jit dihade tan vari sahe le likhai. And the word here to know is sahe. Sahe over here is referring to Sahe di Chitti. Just like we read in Kirtan Sohela as well, when we read Sohele di Bani, it says Sambat Saha likhya milkar pavaho tel. What does that mean? Sambat, Saha, Sahe di Chitti, Sahe le likhai. Saha Gursikh Pyaro is that letter. That when a marriage was organized, when two people were going to get married, what they used to do was the bride side, the family from the bride side, what they used to do, they used to prepare a letter. And that letter is called Sahe di Chitti, Saha. And in that letter, they used to write the date of the marriage. And then the family used to get together, the girl wouldn't go, and then they would go to the boy's side. They would go to the groom's house, and they would give that letter to that family. And they'd say, now the date is final of the marriage. That chitti, that letter is called Sahedi Chitti. In that letter is the date of what day they are going to get married. And that is it, it's final after that day. They don't move that date from that day. And Gursikh Pyaro Bhagat Freeji is saying, that day that this soul bride is going to leave this body, it's already been written. Sahe le likhaye, actually, that jag mein aaye, that before we even came into this world, that Jagamanda, before we came into this world, first of all, that letter has been written for us when we are going to die, Gursikh Pyaro. This marriage Bhagat Freeji is talking about is the marriage of death. That is one marriage nobody can escape. That marriage we will all have to go through one day. Bhagat Freeji is saying that Sahe le likhaye asal vich ਕਹਿਣ ਲੱਗੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇਹ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਚਿੱਠੀ ਆ ਨਾ, ਇਹ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਡੇਟ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਮਰਨ ਦੀ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਇਹ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਲਿਖ ਕੇ ਹੀ ਆਏ ਆ ਇੱਥੇ, ਲਿਖਾ ਕੇ ਆਏ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ, ਇਹ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਲਿਖੀ ਗਈ, before we even come here. First it's written when we're going to leave from here. And then we get confused. ਫਿਰ ਆਪਾਂ ਸੋਚਦੇ ਆ ਕਿ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਡੇਟ ਲਿਖੀ ਹੋਊਗੀ ਕਿ ਆਹ ਸੰਨ ਵਿੱਚ 2015 ਵਿੱਚ ਜਾਂ 2018 ਵਿੱਚ ਇਹਨੇ ਚੜ੍ਹਾਈ ਕਰ ਜਣੀ ਆ. No, it's not that type of date, because Akal Purkh Ji is Akal, is beyond time. Instead, what is written is how many breaths that we are going to take. First, it's written that Sahe le likhai, it's written how many breaths we are going to take. And that is guaranteed. This marriage is going to happen to all. We're just going to go through this slok a little bit more. Bhagat Freeji is saying, Jit dihade tanvari Sahe le likhaye. Kande malak je kanni suni da kande malak. Malak means death. That messenger of death, kende malak je kanni suni da, kende my whole life went by. Bhagat Freeji is saying, kanni, I only heard about this person called death with my ears. Kende par ek din oo vi avega, kende je moh dikhale aaye, jehde baare aapa sunaya sigi sari umar lang gayi, kende ek din oda muh vi vekhna pauga. Us maut baare jehde aapa baare sunaya na keval, Bhagat Freeji is saying, kende ਕਹਿਣ ਲੱਗੇ Bhagat Freeji malak je kanni suni da, that death that we've been hearing about our whole life with these ears only, a day will come, that death will actually show us its face. Ek din oda muh vi sanu dekhna paoga maut da. That death will be standing right in front of us one day. And then what will happen? Jind nimani kaddiye hadda ku kadkaye. Bhagat Freeji is saying, jind nimani kaddiye. Over here they're calling our jind, our life, our soul, it's calling it nimani. That hopeless, that powerless soul. It won't have any power. It won't say nahi main aaj nahi jana. He won't be able to talk to death that day. He won't be able to say nahi koi nahi tu thehar ke aayi. Kende uthe nahi odi gall nahi uthe chalni. Kende nahi, kende jo marji uthe karke vekh la. Kende jind nimani kaddi hai, kende unhe kadd ke hatna, kende us jind nu. When death comes, nothing, that soul won't be able to do anything, it will be helpless. Instead, that death will drag that soul out of this body. Kende jind nimani kaddiye hadda ku kadkaye. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ instead your bones will be rattling when that soul is taken out of this body. Rattling meaning in fear. It can be translated to many ways, but we're not going to go into that. ਫਿਰ ਕਹਿਣ ਲੱਗੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਸਾਹੇ ਲੇਖ ਨਾ ਚੱਲਣੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ you know with that date that has been written about our death ਸਾਹੇ ਲੇਖ ਨਾ ਚੱਲਣੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਉੱਥੇ ਚੱਲਣਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਤੇਰਾ ਕੁਝ ਵੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ there's nothing that you will be able to do to stop that date. You won't be able to raise that date. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਸਾਹੇ ਲੇਖ ਨਾ ਚੱਲਣੀ ਜਿੰਦੂ ਕੂ ਸਮਝਾਏ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ the best thing to do is start talking to your inside and start telling yourself you will have to go one day. जो उपजो सो बिन सह परो आज के काल नानक हर गुण गायले शाड़ सगल जंजाल. जो उपजो whoever is born. उपजो means whoever is born, whatever is born. जो उपजो सो बिन सह will have to perish, will perish one day. जो उपजो सो बिन सह परो आज के काल. पातशाह जी कहने लगे गुरु तेग बहादुर जी सच्चे पातशाह जी कहते परों का अर्थ दो तरी किया आ. It's been translated two ways. One way of looking paro is parson, whether it be in 2 days time paro ke aaj, whether it be today aaj ke kal, whether it be tomorrow, it's going to happen whether we like it or not. जो आया सो चल सी सब कोई आई वारी है. जो भी इत्थे आया, whoever is come here, जो आया सो चल सी सब कोई आई वारी है. Don't think that you're not going to have a turn. Everybody will have a turn. Because a lot of the times when we see other people dying, we'll just think मन चेता भुला दिंदा कि एक दिन वो समा साडे ते भी आउणा है. But then the other thing about this time, about this moment that is going to come, गुरु अर्जन देव जी पातशाह सबना सहरे वंजना सब मुकलावन हार. गुरु अर्जन देव जी पातशाह जी कहते सबना सहरे वंजना कहते एक दिन कहते सारिਆਂ ਨੂੰ कहते सौरे घर कहते जाना पऊगा. Because Guru Arjan Dev Ji Paatshah ji कहते ਇਹ ਸੰਸਾਰ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਪੇਕਾ ਘਰ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਆ. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ this world is like a pekka kar. Pekka kar means the father's house. When a girl lives in her father's house, and back in the days, I can't talk for girls today, girls didn't used to want to leave their father's house because they knew nothing other than that house. They were so attached to their family's house. They knew nothing other than their mother and their father. And but Guru Arjan Dev Ji is saying ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਸਭਨਾ ਸਹੁਰੇ ਵੰਜਣਾ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ but no, listen. Can they tell your soul that ek din tenu sore jana paina, you will have to go to your in-laws. In-laws means the life after. Pekka kar means this world. Your father's house meaning this world. Kende sabna sore vanjana sab muklavan har. Kende muklavan har kende sabna nu kende ek din kende jana pauga. Guru Sikh Pyareo, that's the first type of marriage that Guru Granth Sahib Ji Paatshah Ji tell us about. That is going to come to all of us. गुरु अमरदास जी पातशाह जी कहन लगे कहते धन फिर एह ना आखियन बहन इकट्ठे होए एक जोत दोए मूर्ति धन फिर कहिए सोए. गुरु अमरदास जी पातशाह जी कहन लगे कहते धन फिर एह ना आखियन. And this is the marriage of the two people, the union of the two people that come together and get married, two physical bodies. And Guru Amardas Ji Paatshah saying it's very important to understand these panktiyan. Because nowadays the way some people are translating things completely out of context. Guru Amardas Ji Paatshah saying tan means wife. And tan has about 4 to 5 different meanings in Gurbani. Because if tan comes with a tippi, then majority of the time with a tippi tan means blessed. But not all the time. It's not a rule for all the time, but majority of the time. Tan can mean blessed. Tan without a tippi can mean wealth. Tan, when it's tatta nanna, this is a tadda. With a tatta it can mean body. Tan also means wife as well. Guru Amardas Ji Paatshah saying tan pir means husband. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਧਨ ਫਿਰ ਇਹ ਨਾ ਆਖੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੇਵਲ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਤੀਮਿਤ ਆਦਮੀ ਆਖਿਆ ਜਾਂਦਾ. ਕਹਿੰਦੇ not only those are called a husband and wife, ਧਨ ਫਿਰ ਇਹ ਨਾ ਆਖੀਆਂ ਬੈਨ ਇਕੱਠੇ ਹੋਏ. Just because Guru Amardas Ji Paatshah is saying, just because they're sitting together, living a life together, just because they're building houses together, just because they've got a family together, just because they've built up cars and careers and everything else together, they said just for that purpose, just for that reason, they're not called a husband and wife. But Guru Amardas Ji Paatshah says, what does make them husband and wife? And he says, ek jot doi murti Guru Amar Das Ji Paatshah saying, whilst they're living in two bodies, Murti means forms, whilst they're in two separate bodies, but they're working so well together that their insides have merged and become one with each other. Ek Jyot, they become one light, meaning they're walking that same walk together, spiritually walking closer to Guru Granth Sahib Ji Paatshah Ji, getting closer to Akal Purkh Waheguru Ji. They're on the same, their thoughts are becoming the same. They're starting to merge together. That ek jyot, doi murti, tan, pir kahiye soe, Guru Amar Das Ji Paatshah said, them two are called a husband and body. Husband and wife, Mahakarna. But one thing that we need to clear in this pankti, people are using this pankti today as well, to say that it doesn't matter about gender, and it only matters, this is only talking about our jyot and it's talking about our soul. It's about two souls coming together. Guru Sikh Pyaro, let's keep it simple. Let's just try and understand Gurbani here. Guru Amar Das Ji Paatshah Ji isn't only talking internal. Yes, they spoke about our internal jyot and light and the souls becoming one, but Guru Amar Das Ji Paatshah Ji spoke about two different genders coming together. They spoke about tan, a wife, and because they use the word murat, you can't get away from it actually being two physical bodies, being a male and a female coming together. Because they've used the word murat. So we can't take that away from this pankti. Even though people are taking this pankti and actually trying to convince people of same-gender marriages to take place. But it can't be translated to that. Because you can't just take half a pankti. You have to look at both the pankti to understand this. Because Guru Amar Das Ji Paatshah Ji is saying clearly that ek jyot doi murti, two forms. And those two forms are what? Tan pir kahiye soe, a husband and a wife, a male and a female. So Gurbani clears all these concepts very clearly. We don't need to be confused about anything. Third type of marriage. Jere tije prakar da jera vyah Guru Granth Sahib Ji Sache Paatshah di Bani andar dasna kita. O Bhagat Kabir Ji ne kehna kita, kende tan rehni man pun rap karho pancho tat barati राम राय से हो पावर लै हो आत्म ते रंग राती गौ गौरी दुल्हनी मंगल चारा मेरे ग्रह आए राजा राम पतारा मेरे ग्रह आए राजा राम पतारा. Now this is the third type of marriage, and Guru Sikh Pyaro, you know this marriage is actually why we have taken this birth for this marriage. Apna janam hi is vyah vaste hai. The reason why we've taken birth is for this third type of marriage that Guru Granth Sahib Ji Paatshah Ji talk about. Bhagat Kabir Ji tell us about the third type of marriage just before we go into that. This third type of marriage, why we're actually born. The third type of marriage, Bhagat Kabir Ji saying, is between who? Ram Rai. Ram means God. Rai, that king. My king Waheguru Ji Ram Rai se bhav laho, our soul bride, and Paramatma, Atma ta Paramatma da mel, jis karan apa ithe aaye ha is dharti upar. The third type of marriage is actually why we've come upon this earth. It's for the soul to merge back in with the Supreme Soul, to become one with God, to get married to Waheguru Ji. To get married to Waheguru Ji means to become one with God. Bhagat Kabir Ji said, this is what I'm off to do. Bhagat Kabir Ji writes about this. Kende main te challa kende vyah karona Waheguru na. Par Guru Sikh Pyareo, eh na kise virle da hi hunda hai. There's only very few people that actually get to have this marriage, that go through this marriage, which is the actual purpose of our life, of why we're here. Just to understand this a little bit better, there's one thing we've got to understand about Guru Granth Sahib Ji Paatshah Ji ke Satgur jagta hai Dev. My Guru isn't of somebody of the past. My Guru isn't like any other prophet. Dev over here can mean Devta. My Guru isn't like any other Devta. This Guru is Jagta. Is here present, breathing, alive with us today. And how does this connect to what we're talking about, this third type of marriage? About 2 years ago, there was a girl that went and attended a Sikhi camp. And when she attended the Sikhi camp, her state Her mental state wasn't very good. She wasn't stable at all. One of the Singhs that were doing talks at that camp, I just met this Singh recently. Sada Changa Gurpai is a good friend of ours, and he was telling me this recently. He said what he does in camps, I've seen this as well, we often do camps together, and the Singh said, he goes, so what he does in camps is, he'll actually ask the Sangat, he'll say to all the campers, if anyone's got any personal questions, he'll say, then ask that question to Guru Granth Sahib Ji. And everyone's like, oh, how do we ask Guru Sahib Ji that question? So he'll say, come, and he'll have a session. He'll take out about 2 hours out of the camp, and he'll say, make a line, whoever wants to ask a question to Guru Sahib Ji, and we'll take a hukamnama for each person. He said, either I'll teach you how to take the hukamnama, you can do it yourself. If you don't know how to, you can't read Gurmukhi, he said, I'll do it for you. So whoever does take hukamnama and does know a little bit about taking hukamnama, they will know that often that when we open Guru Granth Sahib Ji Pacha's angs around about in the middle, and the hukamnama will often come out from around about ang 500 to about 800. Between them, it's very, very rare that it's out of those. It's very rare it's more than 800 or that it's less than 500. Because when you're going to open Maharaji's ang around about in the middle, it's going to be between there. Average, it's on 600 ang somewhere. So she comes, and the Singh said, you don't have to tell me what your question is or what you're thinking. And she said, no, it's okay. I want to share with you what I'm feeling. She says, I don't get life. She goes, I can't see the point of living. She goes, why have we been given this birth? She goes, it just feels like a waste. She goes, I've often thought about suicide. She goes, even here. She goes, mera man nahi tekda, even in the camp. She goes, I just don't feel stable at all. She goes, I just don't get the point to this life. And the Singh said, don't worry, we'll ask Maharaj. When the Gursikh took Hukamnama that day, he's a Gursikh that's been taking Hukamnama for about the last 15 to 18 years of his life. He's got Maharaji Prakash at home, so it takes about 3 Hukamname a day. First time ever in his life, when Maharaji's angs opened, they opened at Asarag. And whoever knows that takes Hukamname, it's hardly ever that Hukamnama comes in Asarag. Why? Because Asarag is on ang 400 something. So he's thinking, how did Maharaji's angs open at Asarag today? It's ang 400, it's very rare. So her question is, what's the point of life? He starts to read Hukamnama, and Tan Guru Arjan Dev Ji Pach Ji say, Pei Parapat Manukh De Huriya Gobind Milan Ki Eh Teri Bariya Avar Kaj Tere Kite Na Kam Mil Sad Sangat Paj Keval Nam Satgur Jagta Hai Deo Gursikh Pyareo. My Guru is alive. My Guru is here today. Guru Nanak wasn't somebody of the past. Guru Nanak sits here today and is waiting to talk to us. We can talk to our Guru today as well. Kalgitar Sache Pachji hasn't gone anywhere. If you've got a question, come to your Guru and your Guru will answer you. Gursikh Pyareo, this Bibi said, she said to the Singh, she goes, let me tell you the truth. She goes, the first day I came to this camp, she goes, when I saw you bringing Guru Granth Sahib Ji Pachji inside, she goes, Panj Singh was in front of Maharaji. She said 5 Singhs were standing in front of Tan Guru Granth Sahib Ji Sache Paatshah. She said all the Sangat came and was throwing flowers and throwing petals at Guru Granth Sahib Ji Paatshah Ji. She said, I tell you the truth. She said, you was all singing that this is the king of the king. She goes, I was thinking, what such pakanda are they doing? She said, that's what I thought in my mind. She was, I was thinking, this is pakand, this is empty what they're doing. Why are they treating a book like this? She said, that's what I thought in my mind. She says, today I realize this isn't a book, this is actually my Guru that speaks to me. Pei Parapat, Guru Arjan Dev Ji Pach said, Pei Parapat, why have you been given this life, Parapat? Why have you been given this life? Because Pei Parapat Manuk De Huriya, Manuk means this human form of life. De Huriya, this body, this human form. Why have you been given this? Gobind Milan Ki Ehe. Ehe means right this moment, this breath. Not later on, not tomorrow, not in 5 years time. Ehe means Ehe, this breath. This breath is now to meet God. Because we can only guarantee one breath. on this earth for this marriage. Bhakt Kabir ji described this marriage. Kabir ji said, I was fortunate enough to go through this marriage. They tell us about it themselves. They said, how did this happen for me? Bhakt Kabir ji says that tan rani. They said, first of all, this says, I made my tan, my body, into a vat. Vat means that mat, that jithe lalari na rang pa ke, जिस मठ विच ना ललारी कपड़े पा के ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਫਿਰ रंग पा के ਤਾਂ ਕੱਪੜੇ ਨੂੰ ਰੰਗਦਾ ਜੇ. Bhakt Kabir ji said, what I've done is I've made this body into that vat, that vessel, that person that colors clothes, that person that puts dye into that vessel and then he colors clothes. Bhakt Kabir ji said, I've made my body into that. कहने लगे कहते तन रैनी मन पुन रप कर हो कहते मन, and what have I done with my mind? He said, I've put my mind to be colored into this bowl. कहते तन रैनी मन पुन रप कर हो. Rap means drenched. He said, I've drenched my mind in what? In pun, in good actions. Pun, Gursikh Pyaro, in good actions. All this can be translated together, pun rap. Professor Sahib Singh has separated these two words to pun and then rap. Rap means to imbue, to drench something. Pun means good actions. But it can, if we do the arth as pun rap, the word together, then it means just to drench this mind in the color of love. Bhakt Kabir ji saying that I colored my mind in the color of love in this body. Tan rani man pun rap karho pancho tat barati. Bhakt Kabir ji said, obviously, he says, I'm going to go and get married. He says, I needed a brat with me. Brat means a wedding party that the groom takes to get married. So when the girl side is waiting to get married and then the groom comes with a wedding party, Bhakt Kabir ji said, well, I'm off to get married to Waheguru ji. I needed a party with me as well. Bhakt Kabir ji कहने पांचो तात बराती कहने मैं कहने नो कहने मैं पांच जाना नो नाल लेके गया कहने बरात ऊपर. Bhakt Kabir ji कहने लगे कहने करके मेरा हुण विआह होण लगा कहने अकाल पुरख वाहिगुरू जी दे नाल कहने मैं भी कहने पांच जणियां नूं नाल मैं बरात दे विच लैके गया कहने ओ कौन ने पंज. Who are those five? कहने पांचो तात. They said 5 elements. I took 5 elements with me. This very deep concept what Bhakt Kabir ji is saying. Now ਆਪਾਂ ਨਾ ਇਸ ਸੰਸਾਰ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਸੰਬੰਧ ਰੱਖਣ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਇਹ ਆਪਣੇ 5 ਤੱਤ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ. For us to keep a link with this world, it's through these 5 elements that this body is made out of. ਭਾਵ ਇਹ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਮਿੱਟੀ ਆ, ਮਿੱਟੀ ਦਾ ਸਰੀਰ ਬਣਿਆ ਨਾ, it's one of the elements. The soil, the agni, the fire that's inside of us, that comes from the sun. The energy of heat comes from the sun that is inside of us. All these 5 elements. These are what we need. Paniya, there's water as well that's in this body. It keeps this body alive. This is how this body is made. पांच तत्व को तन रचियो जानहो चतुर सजान जहते उपजे नानका लीनता है मैं मान. Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Paatshah 9वें पातशाह श्लोक. But Bhakt Kabir Ji said, for me to actually meet Waheguru Ji, I needed to make an inner body. Just like to have a link with this world, I need this body that is made out of these 5 elements. But Bhakt Kabir Ji said, I made to get married to Waheguru, I need a party of 5 which is going to help me to get married to Waheguru. That body is what is going to actually marry Waheguru. What is that Panch Tat? What are those elements that Bhakt Kabir Ji are talking about? Sat, Santokh, Daya, Dharam, Singar Banavo. Bhakt Kabir Ji is saying that body is made out of Sat, of truthful living, of Santokh, of contentment. We can only have contentment if we are living truthfully. Anybody, Gursikh Pyaro, that is conning the system, that is doing fraud, that is lying, they will never be content. Their mind will never let them rest. Only through righteous living, only through truthfulness, Sat Santokh, it will give birth to contentment, living truthfully. That's why these words come in that order. Sat Santokh, Daya, compassion. Only when we become content, we'll be able to become compassionate as well. Because then we'll be able to see other people's pains and what other people need. And that's when we become compassionate, when we become content. Sat Santokh Daya Dharam. Dharam means to live within a system. And then the Panj, that can be translated to Tiraj or Prem. Tiraj means patience. Prem means love. So Gursikh Pyareo, Bhakt Kabir ji says that Tan Rani, Man Pun Rab Karho, Pancho, Tat Barati. Got this gone, and this is now. Kande Ram Rai Seo, Power Lao. Power means when we go around Guru Granth Sahib Ji Paatshah Ji. In the Hindus call it Fere. We call it Parakrama around Maharaj Ji taking Lama. Bhakt Kabir Ji says, now I'm ready, I've got that body, it's all made, and now I'm going to get to walk around with Waheguru Ji and get married to him. ताई तक भगत कबीर जी ने क्या ना कहने लगे, अब तो जाए चढ़े सिंहासन, मिल है सारंग पानी. कहने लगे कहते राम कबीरा एक पह कोई ना सके पेशानी. भगत कबीर जी कहने लगे कहते राम राय से पावर ले हो. नाउ I'm getting married to Waheguru Ji. आत्म तेह रंग राती, कहते आत्म तेह रंग राती, कहते my mind रंग राती is imbued in the color of love. कहते गौ गौरी दुल्हनी. Dulhani, the word Dulhani means newly wedded wives. Bhakt Kabir Ji is saying, if there's anyone else out there that have just married Waheguru, let's come together and sing. But the Antriv Arth of this, Professor Sahib Singh saying, these newly married wives, who are they? These Panj Indriya, our five senses. Bhakt Kabir Ji is saying to the senses, come together and let's sing. कहते गौ गौरी दुल्हनी मंगल चारा. Mangal means those songs of happiness when you're going to get married. Mangal chara. कहने लगे भगत कबीर जी कहते मेरे ग्रह आए. कहते in the house of my heart Waheguru Ji has now come. मेरे ग्रह आए राजा राम पतारा. Bhakt Kabir Ji says now I have a husband. Patara means husband, and that is Raja, my true king, Ram, that Waheguru Ji. How do all these three weddings, actually marriages, now link together? Why did now Guru Nanak Dev Ji Paatshah Ji keep speaking about grist jeevan, this grist way of life, of just a normal householder's way of life, again and again and again? The reason for that, because time is reducing. The first type of marriage you spoke about, which is the marriage of death. If we again, from our Bani, from Sohela, it says, Aud kate, din se rehnare. What does this mean? Aud means age, means Aud kate. Kate means reducing. What's happening? A mother gets happy when a child is growing up. Bhakt Kabir Ji starts to laugh. Kabir Ji goes, oh bechara maut de lage aa janda, tu ithe birthday cake kardi firdi hai. Bhakt Kabir Ji is saying, that day of death is coming closer and you're there celebrating. Guru Granth Sahib Ji Paatshah is saying, Aud kate, Guru Arjan Dev Ji Bani kehte, Aud kate, your age is actually reducing. Aud kate dinas, day, dinas, the day of life, the day of life, dinas rehnare, is changing into night. Rehn means night, into the night of death. It's getting closer. That darkness, that death, his life ending is getting closer each moment. Time is running out. Ji saying, Tarnapo means youth. And whoever is now getting a little older, they will all experience this and they feel this. They'll say Tarnapo, yo hi geo. You know what yo hi means? Yo hi means like, you know, when somebody sits back and they say, Pata hi nahi lagga, kede vele kende lang gayi umar. Yo hi geo. कहते हल्ले हुणी तो मैं जवानी में से कहते पता ही नहीं लंगा केड़े वेले कहते जवानी भी लंघ गई. कहते ऐदा ही एवें ही लंघ गए. कहते तरनापो यो ही गयो, बस ऐदा ही कहते लंघ गई, पता ही नहीं लगा जवानी केड़े वेले कहते खिस गई मेरे हत्थों दे विचों. लियो जरा तनजीत. कहते व्हाट्स हैपनिंग? जरा मींस ओल्ड एज. कहते लियो जरा तनजीत. कहते दिस ओल्ड एज, I have no power, it's winning over my body. लियो जरा तन, my tan body, जीत, it's winning it over. I have no power. कहो नानक पज हर मना औद जात है बीत. कहते कहो नानक पज हर मना. Oh my mind, why don't you meditate on God? औद जात है बीत, तेरी उम्र तो लंघदी जांदी है. Your age is just passing. बिरद पियो सूझे नहीं काल पहुँचे आन. कहते बिरद तू हो गया. ਬਿਰਧ ਪਿਓ ਸੂਝੇ ਨਹੀਂ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ you still don't understand, ਸਿਰ ਕੰਪਿਓ ਪੱਗ ਡਗਮਗੇ ਨੈਣ ਜੋਤ ਤੇ ਹੀਣ, ਕਹੋ ਨਾਨਕ ਇਹ ਬਿਦ ਪਈ ਤੋ ਨਾ ਹਰ ਰਸ ਲੀਨ। ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਸਿਰ ਕੰਪਿਓ, your head is shaking with old age, ਸਿਰ ਕੰਪਿਓ ਪੱਗ ਡਗਮਗੇ, ਪੱਗ your feet, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਹੁਣ ਡੋਲਦੇ ਆ, they're wavering as well, they can't even walk straight anymore। ਸਿਰ ਕੰਪਿਓ ਪੱਗ ਡਗਮਗੇ ਨੈਣ ਜੋਤ ਤੇ ਹੀਣ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਤੇਰੀ ਨੈਣਾ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਤੇਰੇ ਅੱਖਾਂ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਜੋਤ ਆ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਰੋਸ਼ਨੀ ਵੀ ਘਟੀ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਆ। even your eyes, they're not the same as they used to be, the light in them it's reducing as well now। and then ਗੁਰੂ ਤੇਗ ਬਹਾਦਰ ਜੀ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਜੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਕਹੋ ਨਾਨਕ ਇਹ ਬਿਦ ਪਈ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਇਹ ਤਾਂ ਹਾਲਤ ਤੇ ਤੇਰੀ ਹੋ ਗਈ ਆ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ this is your state, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਕਹੋ ਨਾਨਕ ਇਹ ਬਿਦ ਪਈ ਤੋ ਨਾ ਹਰ ਰਸ ਲੀਨ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ you still haven't emerged yourself in that love of God। break which is going to be called just a pile of ashes, that's all we are when this breath leaves। Can the old kate, that time is reducing and we're here to do what? We're here to get married to Waheguru। Guru Nanak Dev Ji Pacha Ji said, they said I recommend you to get married of having ek sekh doi sad sang, panji parmeshwar। Guru Bhai Gurdas Ji says alone you're called a Sikh, this says but when there's two of you then you've got satsang constantly। Guru Nanak Dev Ji Pacha Ji recommends marriage, why? So you've got constant sangat, somebody that is guiding you and helping you and becoming your support to reach that goal of marrying Waheguru Ji। That's why that path is recommended of marriage, because it keeps us grounded, it helps us towards that path to get to that marriage, that true marriage that we're actually here for। But we're just gonna finish off the next 10 to 15 minutes with how people are trying to run away from this life, because people think that if I've got that moment without any children, without that stress of a partner, it'll help me more to get to Waheguru Ji। But Gursikh Pyareo, do we really know what it means, what we actually need? Do we know, are we syane enough, are we wise enough to know what we actually need to get to Waheguru Ji? It's not always what we think that helps us to get to Waheguru। I'll share a little story just to understand this concept. How we sometimes think, well, if I've got no stress of children crying, if I've got no stress of a partner, then I can just focus and meditate and nothing's in my way then. We actually sometimes don't know what we actually need। It's a story of a saint, of a European saint, going back hundreds of years ago. Somebody asked him a question. Somebody says, how did you become a saint? You wasn't always like this. You're helping so many people today. He said, from what we can remember of you, you was this philosopher that questioned everything, didn't believe in anything. You didn't even believe in the existence of God. You wanted everything proved. You had these theories to everything. What happened to you? This trying to understand sometimes what we think. We think this is what I need, but let Waheguru Ji decide what we need. How do we let Waheguru Ji decide? If we say to Guru Granth Sahib Ji Paatshah Ji, Guru Granth Sahib Ji Paatshah Ji, all I want out of life is for me to be close to you. You put me where I am going to remain close to you। हे पातशाह जीओ, बस एक अपनी अरदास होनी चाहिए गुरु ग्रंथ साहब जी पातशाह महाराज के चरणों में कि पातशाह जीओ, बस मैनू तो एको ही चीज़ चाहिए कि राज ना चाहो, मुक्त ना चाहो, मन प्रीत चरण कमलारे। मैनू तो आप जी के चरणों की प्रीति चाहिए महाराज जी। जिथे भी मैनू तुसी रखोगे उही परवान है मैनू, पर होवे तुहाडे चरण मेरे कोल। I accept for you to put me anywhere in life, as long as I have you, I have everything। Somebody asked him a question, he said, how? What was it? Where did he go? Did he meet someone? And he said, yes, it was somebody that, not only that I'd met, it was actually the same person that I actually live with, that I spend my life with. They said, your wife? I said, yes. They said, she's religious? We didn't even know. Sanu ta kehde pata hi nahi laga wo dharmi a. He said, I don't know if I would actually call her religious. He goes, but it was her that helped me. They said, then how? If she isn't even walking upon the path of God, then how did she help you? What was it that she said to you? He said it wouldn't be recommended if I repeat some of those words. He goes, bas oh mainu gala inniya kadddi si na. He goes, main saharda reha bas ਉਹਦੇ ਸਹਾਰੇ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਨਾ. He goes, ਇੰਨਾ ਹੀ ਮੇਰੀ ਸਹਿਣ ਸ਼ਕਤੀ ਵੱਧ ਗਈ. He goes, ਮੈਂ ਸੰਤ ਬਣ ਗਿਆ. ਗੁਰਸਿੱਖ ਪਿਆਰਿਓ, he turned around and he said, they asked, they said, what was it your wife said to you that made you into a saint? He said, I can't actually repeat those words. They were a little rude. She used to swear at me so much, nag at me so much. He goes, I just learned to be patient and tolerate it. He goes, I became so tolerant and patient. He goes, and these are the very virtues that make us into a saint. And goes, today the result, he goes, I thank my wife for who I am today. It's not always what we think that is going to get us to where we need to get to. As long as we do ardas to our Guru, the Guru will do the right thing by us. If we say to my Guru, Hey Sacha Paatshah Ji, bas mainu uthe ohosi sangat mile bas jithon tusi na tutto mere kol. Hor jo kuch marji ho jave, hor sab kuch mera janda lage, par Paatshah Ji tusi na meri zindagi to dur ho gਏ. I'm only alive, I can only breathe because of you. Akhan, jeevan. If I'm able to say your name, then I feel alive. Visre mar jaun. Without you, I feel nothing. Guru Gobind Singh Ji Paatshah Ji, in a Bani in Sri Dasam Granth Sahib, called Shabd Hazare, Guru Gobind Singh Ji Paatshah Ji explained to us. They said that peace that people look for in jungles, they said that peace, they said you can obtain in your own house. And they said, let me tell you about this. Guru Gobind Singh Ji Paatshah says, Re man, kehde apne man nu ye gal samjhao. Tell you mind this, Guru Gobind Singh Ji said. Guru Gobind Singh Ji saying, Re man aso kar sannyasa. Ban se sadan sabe kar samjho man hi mahe udasa. This is talking about a grist jeevan, a householder's way of life, of a family life. Guru Gobind Singh Ji said, people think that they're going to find peace in a jungle. But Guru Gobind Singh Ji said, this is Re man aso kar sannyasa. He said, do this type of sannyas. A sannyas is when somebody renounces the world and goes and sits in a jungle. And they mat their hair and they do all sorts of practices. Guru Gobind Singh Ji Paatshah says, this is, I'll tell you how to do this. This is Re man aso kar sannyasa. Kende aida da sannyas kar, renounce. Be a renunciate like this. Re man aso kar sannyasa. Ban se sadan. Ban means a forest. Ban se sadan. Can they bring that forest into your house? Sadan means into your family house, into your own house where you live, amongst the midst of the family of what people call the midst of attachment. This says ban se sadan. Bring that into your own house. How do you bring a forest into your house? Can they ban se sadan sabe kar samjho. Can they think of your whole house as a forest? Man mein rahe uda. Can they, what you're going to do is become adas. You're going to become detached in your mind. It's not your physical body that has to leave everything. They said it's your mind that has to become detached from where you're actually living. Kehde re man aso kar sannyasa ban se sadan sabe kar samjho man hi mahe udasa. Man hi mahe udasa. Mahe means inside, man means mind. Man hi mahe udasa. Inside your own mind become detached. So how do we do this? That's easy. That's easy said. But we're thinking, Guru Gobind Singh Ji Paatshah Ji said it. Think of your house as that peaceful jungle. But we're thinking, what about when my child, I want to get up in the morning, Amrit Vele, to read Gurbani at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. What about when my 1-year-old child is screaming the house down? How do I think of it as a forest then? How about when my wife is nagging me and phoning me and asking me, when are you coming home? When are you coming home? How am I supposed to think of it as a forest then? We're thinking it's easy said. How do I obtain that avastha of where? What does Guru Gobind Singh Ji actually mean by this? Guru Gobind Singh Ji Paatshah says you've got to build yourself slowly where you get to a point in your life that inside there might be screaming going on outside. There might be the pressures of the bills outside. There might be the pressures of life on the outside, but you inside is so peaceful, just like you'd be sitting in a forest. There's noise outside, but there's peace inside. How do we first practice to bring that forest-like peace in our mind first? What's that moment? When's that time when it actually is peaceful in our own homes as well? When everybody else is asleep, when pinni rendiye chamkan tare, jaghe sant mere ram pyare. That time in the morning when the stars are sparkling, amrit vela sach na ho vadiyai vichar. Guru Sahib ji saying, this is the way. You practice when early hours in the morning, when you know, even the babies, when you know that one moment when everybody will be asleep, you wake up. You sit and upadesh Guru har har jap jape, then fir Guru karo samay baake. You sit down and connect to Waheguru Ji at that time, when it is like a forest, even in your own house, when the whole world is asleep, and you can feel that peace. You practice from that moment in the morning, and you keep building your Nityanem. Have faith in your Nityanem. Never give up. Keep going. There is light at the end of the tunnel. You know, a lot of the times people give up. They do it for a few days, and then they give up. And they think, I've read Gurbani for 2 months, for 3 months. I haven't found that peace. But remember what it says, that karhe je gur farmaya sil jog anuni chattiye. This is Ram Kali ki war Pai Satta and Balwan. They said, you know, when you first start off on this path, don't think it's going to be easy. This is karhe je gur farmaya. What your Guru is farmaying to you, what your Guru is ordering you to do. And that meaning getting up early hours of the morning. Don't think it's going to feel sweet straight away. There's those very few lucky people it might feel sweet to. कोई विरला ही होगा जरा पहले दिन ही उठ के कहोगा वाह, फिर आम करके तो इदा ही होगा कि यार आ तो औखी खेड़ यार. But Guru Sahib is saying, they said, when the Guru asks you to do something first, don't think it's just going to be roses. And it says that in Gurbani, it says, Karhe je gur farmaya. It's going to feel like this. Sil jog aluni chattiye. It's going to feel like sil means a stone. Sil jog means way. This practice is going to feel like this. Sil jog aluni chattiye. It's going to feel like when you like licking a stone. It's going to be aluni. It's going to be tasteless. And people, they give up whilst they're still in that stage. But they don't realize a time is going to come that sakkar khand nivat gud makhyo manja dud sabbe vastu mithiyan rabna pujjan dud. That such a day is going to come, like Bhagavad Friji says, that I've tried all these outer sugars. I've tried the sugar cane. I've tried everything. I've tried the milk of the buffalo. They're all sweet. This is but rabna pujjan dud. He said, but the sweetness that I get from reciting God's name. Jini chakya prem ras se tripat rahe agaye. When you start feeling that amrit dripping inside of you, when you say God's name, and there's nothing sweeter than that feeling. Hirde har tun upji. Gursikh pyaro, it takes time. Keep that amrit vela, that bani, that japing naam going in the morning, and a time will come when there is so much Gurbani that just comes and sits inside of you. That peaceful, that peace-like feeling that somebody gets when they're in a forest, they'll find it inside themselves. And then, no matter what your wife's saying to you, then nothing will move you. You'll still be at peace inside.